Hello snowboarders of the internet, I am your host TC and today I will be reviewing the Nitro Basher. If you're interested in this board or any other boards or bindings I mention in this video, make sure you're going down in that description and clicking those affiliate links. That way you don't have to go searching the internet for yourself and hoping that you're getting the product that you're looking for. This board is equipped with Nitro's flat out camber profile, so what that means is in between your feet all the way until a little bit out past the inserts there, you're just gonna have a flat profile with rocker on the nose and on the tail. What that's gonna do for you is that rocker is gonna give you all of that float and ease of entry in and out of the turn, and that flat section's gonna give you that pop, stability, and drive that you're looking for. This board is offered in one size and one size only, and that is a 158. I rode this board at Copper Mountain where it was the day after a storm. It got pretty windy that night, so it just pretty much blew everywhere. One side of the mountain was absolutely amazing, pow day. The other half was just super bare where all that snow was just taken off and thrown to the other side of the mountain. There were perfect groomers though. There were some hard chunky push piles from the day before that those ones just kind of got blown and exposed pretty much, so you know, you had to take the good with the bad. The trees were absolutely amazing though. There was fresh powder in there that was untouched, so I pretty much had that all to myself all day. And I used my Ride Fuse boots and my Jones Mercury phase bindings. Flex and stability. When we're talking overall flex on this board, it's at about the middle of the road there. It really does want to flex in the middle at this flat zone though, where it actually felt that the nose and the tail were stiffer than the middle of the board. Even though there is rocker on it, it just felt like they had a little bit more girth to them. Torsionally, it does match that overall flex of the middle of the road really. So you're not working that hard to really just drive this thing, foot steer it. It doesn't take that much effort. And as we move on to the stability portion, this board is pretty stable. Like there really wasn't a terrain that this thing met that it couldn't actually overcome, where I was able to just go on those smooth groomers, go through those chunky push piles, and be able to keep it on edge, keep it just tracking the way I wanted it to. Didn't really have problems there. It is a mixture of damp and lively, where it wants to spring in and out of turns, but it absorbs all that chatter really well, so you're not feeling any just quivering of the board coming up through your feet, nothing like that. It felt a nice mixture there. When you load this thing up to ollie, you do have a giant surface area back here. So when you load it up, the tail feels a little bit stiffer than the overall flex of the board. So it just gives it a little bit more spring to it. At least it felt like that to me, where even when I was going off of those side hits that were icier on that side of the mountain that didn't have any snow left over, that got all blown to the other side, it still did really well on there, where I had it on edge off a side hit, didn't have to worry about this tail folding on me, not being able to keep that edge on the hit. It felt nice and stable. Also on the landings as well, even when I was going in that less than ideal terrain, it still held pretty good for me, where you can land it, you might have to navigate through some uneven terrain, but it will do that for you. It didn't feel crazy slow edge to edge if I had to micro adjust coming up to a side hit. It felt really good. Just know that there is some spring to this tail, so it's not that organic slow flex, it's got that snap that you're looking for. While I have you here and you're enjoying this video so much, you might as well like, subscribe, click that bell, and turn on those notifications so you don't miss any of our scheduled programming. Even though the nose and tail on this board are a little bit stiffer than the overall flex to it, they did want to stay flat when I was buttering on it. So as I loaded this thing up and really just locked it into butter, it pretty much hinged right at that rocker where it meets the flat zone, and it just made a nice, like, stable surface for me, really. The only problem that I had with it is you're gonna work a little bit extra hard, but I wouldn't even say it's that big of a problem just because this board's in the middle of the road. It's not crazy stiff, so you're not working super hard to butter on it. Just expect a little bit of pop out on the tail and on the nose, but let me tell you here first, it has great pow butters. When you lock this thing in the fresh pow, whether you're buttering on the nose or the tail, it holds really well. It gives you a little bit extra wiggle room there, so even if you do shift your hips a little bit too much on the tail or the nose, it still holds really well. So buttering this thing, super fun. I would definitely go for it. You can really lay them down, especially because of how wide it is at the nose and tail. You do get a little extra surface area, so when you're going sideways with it, you don't have to worry about it trying to catch up on you or anything like that. When I was carving this board on the groomers, I realized those short quick carves, they took a little bit more to get over. There was a little lag there. So if you're trying to find something super nimble for just groomer carving, this is not going to be your board. This thing definitely carves much better when you are in that fresh powder, especially on those short quick carves. It's a lot easier to get over. Because this board is on the wider end, it just has that lag going on. So keep that in mind on the groomers. Once you get it to the fresh snow, this thing will dip over for you, no problem. When you get to those medium and those larger carves, that's where this thing really excels. Even on the fresh groomers where it was a little laggy on those short quick carves, it handled those medium carves like no one's business. This board is flat, but it still carves way better than it being an actual like flat board with rocker on the nose and tail. It held its edge extremely well, even through those less than ideal conditions where it was like push piles, those hard crusty piles. It was able to carve right through those with zero issues. The only time I really had issues is when I was just absolutely pushing the speed limit on this thing on those large carves. So keep that in mind. There is going to be a speed limit on it. It is on the higher end of things, I will say, but still you'll feel it. You start mocking out there, just full out, just charging a large carve. You're going to know exactly when it's time to slow it down, just because you'll start feeling this thing rattling a little bit. So it just gets a little bit unstable at those super high speeds, but it's not made for that. It's made for the powder. So keep it in that. You're gonna be totally good. Yes, it will Euro carve. I did it a few times on those smooth groomers. Had zero issues with toe or heel drag, because everybody knows that is a myth, and especially on this board because it is a little bit wider. Rider in mind. This board is made for that POW rider that wants to be able to land switch. They're probably going to get a little bit more freestyle out there, and they don't just want to have a straight up directional board with like that cutout tail or anything like this board behind me here, where you're not doing that thing switch. You can totally ride this board switch in POW and be extremely fine on it. I mean, that is what it's made for. And I mean, you don't have to be the most advanced rider. You could be that intermediate rider and still take this thing anywhere and have a great time on it. If you're looking for another way to get involved in the Angry Snowboarder community, head on over to Angry Snowboarder VIP. What is it, you might ask? Sure, I could explain it here, but why ruin the fun when you head on over there? I had a great time on this board. I was kind of thinking it was probably going to be only good for like POW, that sort of stuff. Full disclosure, I did take it in the park because I thought it was kind of made to be that freestyle POW park board type deal. Turns out it's not, but it will rip the park if you do need to get in there with it. So no worries there. But overall, this was a super fun board. I didn't have super high expectations for it just because, you know, flat board, rocker on the nose and tail, you think it's going to be just kind of lackluster, but I was wrong on it. This board actually is super fun, and it's way more stable than I expected it to be, especially ripping groomers and carving on this thing. It held up really well. I know that's not what it's made for, but that's the day I had to ride it, so you know, it is what it is, and it handled it really well. So this thing is not just totally pigeonholed in just being a powder freestyle board. It definitely can be ridden and then in those less than ideal conditions when you are just like getting out there the day after like I did, looking for POW, looking to just kind of snipe out a few spots like that. It will totally do that for you. This thing is pretty versatile actually, where I really wouldn't say that it's strictly for POW like an Orca or something like that. You can take this thing all mountain, cruise it, ride it around, still rip carves on it, still have a good time, even if it's not that super deep day. Comparable boards, the Public Outreach and the Spring Break Powder Twin. Recommended bindings, the Nitro Team Pro, the Salomon District Pro, and the Union Force. As always guys, I've been your host TC, and this has been my review of the Nitro Basher. If you're just totally not sold on this board and still need to do a little bit more research on a twin POW board, why don't you go check out one of the reviews for the comparable boards.